And welcome to a brand new week of Capital Talk, a program we hope will have an impact on the future of Kenya. And now, more than ever, I'm Jeff Kinanga. Now, we've been telling you between last week and this 20th of September, it's all about by-elections. We started off in Storehe, went on to Makadara. This week is the big prize, 187,000 votes up for grabs. Of course, we're talking about Juja. Huge constituency, a lot at stake. And we're going to start off with the immediate former MP because, you know what, he's only been there a year and a half, literally, because of post-election violence. And I tell you, he says his biggest thing, education, education, education. That's the bottom line because Juja is growing by strength every single day. He says education is key. Also roads, infrastructure, bridges, rivers, water, you name it. This man says this is his strengths. He's the single largest owner of a private company in Nairobi, private bus company. And he's turned it around and he's huge, if you will. People say he's arrogant, unapproachable. He says he has his number, his telephone number, on his newsletter. He gets thousands of SMSs every single day. You decide, folks. It's up to you at the end of the day. You decide who you want in Juja. In the meantime, sit back and listen to Mheshimiwa George Thuo. Mheshimiwa, good to see you, brother.
Nice to see you too.
How you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
I didn't mention that you're a very young guy. You're 43 years old. Young man.
Is that a problem?
Not at all, George.
Thank you.
All right,
Yeah.
let's tackle this one right away.
Yes.
People say you're arrogant, George.
I don't know. I suppose that is why we have a new constitution to guarantee the freedom to speak and have an opinion. What can I say? It's their opinion.
Yes, because they say that about me, they say that about a lot of people, George, so it's not just
that.
you.
Part of our problem is a culture that that demands that you do certain things, and if you succeed, say, economically slightly above your contemporaries, then you're arrogant. If you are not available every time a person wants you, never mind that. We haven't come to the culture where you accept that there are diaries, that I have a diary to keep, that I have meetings to attend. So if I don't see you the instant you want me, I'm arrogant. You know, I don't know. Yeah. What can I say, Jeff?
And yet you have your own personal phone number on your newsletter, on your billboards.
On my billboards, on my in this newsletter that is distributed in the entire Juja. I have it on my website, whose address is here. And I can tell you, Jeff, I have over 5,000 individual numbers saved, contacts saved in my mobile phone of people who talk to me regularly.
And when they call you, let's say you see a number that you don't recognize and you pick it up. What are they telling you? What's the biggest thing about Juja they're telling you?
What I have found, which is interesting, and there's a difference. The ones that I've saved, and I'm talking of thousands, are people who are constantly telling me about issues in their neighborhood, so I save those. Because once I've seen a number twice, thrice, and spoken to a person, I save that. The ones that come once, the once-off, are normally an emergency, my child is sick, there's a fire, there's this, and they are one-offs, the emergencies, many of which are difficult to respond to. But sometimes it's also, there's a robbery or we're under attack. Can you call the police? Because they don't have the police number, they have my number. So I accept that. And when I first started giving out my number freely, there are those who thought, some of my colleagues thought that, I can't sustain it and I would have to change my number. I've had the same number all these years.
Hasn't changed.
And I have no problems with it. The one thing I guarantee is, for instance, I'm talking to you now. If anyone is trying to reach me, my phone is off. If I'm at a public rally, I cannot talk. However, the one thing I guarantee, and this I have kept up, and I challenge anyone to tell me otherwise, every single text message I respond to, everyone, without exception, on the same date, latest the following morning.
Okay, you inherited a constituency, George, that's it's huge, first of all, and it was completely underdeveloped.
And it still is in many ways, Jeff. I've had too short a time to have an impact. But the one thing you have to realize is that you do this thing because you have a passion. One of the reasons why I believe in this very short time, I can go to every single sublocation in Juja and not be embarrassed that in 2 years I haven't done anything, because I have touched every single part of Juja. It's because I had a passion, I had a plan, I was clear, and I have executed. And they know that.
Give us examples.
I'll give you an example. I don't know if you're aware, for instance, we have a huge slum called Kiandutu village. Probably 20,000 residents. The largest, in my opinion, in Central, and certainly maybe the largest outside Nairobi. That slum, in that short time, and I tell you, Jeff, I am going to mention things that didn't exist at all. That slum now has running water, piped running water. That slum has sewer reticulation, partly done and continuing, courtesy of the Kenya government. As a result of that, we are now building, we have demolished the old pit latrines, and we are now building proper toilets and showers on sewer. That slum, Jeff, was always in complete darkness, as you can imagine. Connection fee for electricity normally is about 34,900.
Yeah.
They're incapable of affording it. What have we done? After discussions with the government and with the relevant agencies of government, we now have power connectivity fee at Kiandutu at 1,600. Jeff, you go there now, there are areas, people watch telly, people, you have power. That helps improve security. But beyond that, we now have those high masts as well so that we can light up at night. Jeff, we have constructed a police station inside the slum village. Okay? Jeff, we have in the same slum, we've expanded the roads, because one of the things I realized as soon as I was elected and in the run-up to the last elections is that you're constantly every week going there because there has been a fire. Now, even if the Thika Municipal Council had a fire engine, you couldn't access some of the places in the back because of the narrow. With the collaboration of the village elders, without demolishing anyone's house, but voluntarily they're moving their houses from the pads, we've created wide enough roads that trucks can enter. Now, with Metropolitan Ministry having given the Thika Municipal Council fire engines, now you're able to respond to that. Now, that's important. The other thing that I want to say about that slum is that it had a school called Garissa Road Primary School. That school was completely run down. I was shocked by the state of that school. I couldn't do it on my own. So I went, talked to the Ministry of Housing, and I must thank the Minister for Housing and the Kenya government, because that school was upgraded at a cost of 7 million. We now have a modern school. Next to them is a high school where I've put up a laboratory and others, and we've been continuing to grow. The high school had been started earlier and we must thank Broadway Bakeries, because they've been sponsors of that particular high school, and we have put in a bit more money to make it better. In that same slum, Jeff, we now have, as a joint effort between EU and CDF Juja, we now have almost complete a 15 million hospital whose one wing is already open, the outpatient, and we are now waiting for the maternity towards the end of the year. It is done. Jeff, that's one example. That's one village. I can talk about that in every part of Georgia.
And that wasn't there before?
It wasn't. I have not told you a single thing that existed. I challenge anyone to say that it was. Jeff, it was a rundown slum where at one time someone described those houses as pigsties. It's a shame, because what you're supposed to feel isn't, they're not there because they love to be there. Jeff, what you're supposed to feel is the desire and the passion to get them out of their situation. Now, the people, you saw what happened to Madare Foye and to Kibera when they tried to upgrade them and the resistance. So we decided, and we had a chat with the ministry, with the local authority, myself, and local leaders and village leaders, elders there. And we agreed, if we try to move them so that we do it, there'll be resistance. So let's give them these amenities that they need, the basic amenities, while they're still there. And let us improve their lives while there. I challenge anyone to go there and tell me that what I'm saying here is not true. I'm telling you, Jeff, it is amazing how we have transformed that village. To me, we ought to look beyond that village and see how that can be replicated elsewhere, not just in Juja, but in Kenya.